podcast that everything was fine, but now I listen to this podcast because I've lost my mind. My gym partner is a podcast. My gym partner is a podcast. Yeah!
Bullshort porcupine. I don't know what. Doing this podcast is a pain in the...
Gert.
I'm sick.
It's a pain in the sick.
You're pain in the... I'm sick? What even is... we rehearsed this.
Gert.
Welcome to another Sterling...
I can't do this. I can't do this today.
You're not getting out of this. You're not getting out of this. Welcome, everybody. We are here.
Another
Fuck yeah, we sure are.
Everyone is here. Like listen. I'm running on low sleep right now because I have just been playing the new Super Smash Brothers for like the past 20 hours.
Isn't it funny that Diddy Kong would basically be Jake Spider Monkey if he put his hat backwards?
See, this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to ask if it was too lame of a joke to make to say that Jake would be a Diddy Kong main.
I'm sorry I ruined your joke.
You ruined it pretty badly.
I guess it was tantalizing fruit for this podcast
well,
because I just went right for it.
I think Adam would be one of those guys who really pays attention to the tier lists and is like, oh, I can't believe you're playing Pac-Man. He's so garbage.
Don't make fun of three of our friends. Don't call them Adam Lyon.
I'm just saying, Adam Lyon is definitely one of those guys.
Yeah, but he would be really bad at the game, and every time he loses, he would just blame it on input lag or
controller.
Controls.
Yeah.
I have tap jump on. I can't play. Let me go into the settings and change myself.
Alright, where's the... I gotta go to the settings real quick, and then I'll be able to play. Alright, what episodes did we do?
We did Amazon Kevin and the Grub Drive. Or just Grub Drive, I think.
Yeah.
God, Grub Drive, I didn't really think about that name.
It's a bad name for a bad episode, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, don't hit on it too early.
We're gonna go off with what I think was a pretty strong episode. I'd say this is contender for one of my favorite episodes because of just how much Adam gets it this episode in a way that isn't insulting to every sensibility that I hold.
Yeah, it's really one of those let's rightfully punish Adam, but not too much, because he's a child and dumb.
But still,
and he has a bad haircut, and that's punishment enough. Got him!
Did you just high five yourself? Okay, let's talk about Amazon Kevin. We start, and it's a
Amazon Kevin.
It starts.
It starts.
Giraffes. There's giraffes. We're in the wild. There's a narrator in here we have the wild animals, which bringing back the fact that there are feral animals out there only makes this more uncomfortable.
Makes it more weird, more bizarre. And Amazon Kevin is narrating.
He's narrating this naturalistic scene of these animals, these natural-looking animals in their environment, but then goes on to say that they're all vicious, blood-curdling, awful creatures that only want to cause harm to humans.
Especially the deer. The deers are the worstens.
It's this little antelope and starts.
Pick me lion antelope.
Yeah, he starts shaking and being visibly scared, and the area is you see the shaking of its limbs means it's ready to attack.
And then Amazon Kevin rips his shirt off in this, and he says, "You want a piece of this?" as we can read his chest that also says, "Do you want a piece of this?" And I think that's really funny.
It's pretty funny how he just loves to rip off his shirt and show his shirt off. Now I tried to look up the voice actor for Amazon Kevin. I couldn't find a trace on
I thought
behind the
it was
voice
what's his
actor's
face,
doc-
John.
Well, I didn't want to assume it was John DiMaggio.
It
Uh,
sounds like a guy that I've heard in a lot of stuff before.
If not him, then a John sound alike.
Hmm.
but he does a good job, I think, of just recreating this faux pro wrestler. It's more like fake pro wrestler than your Steve Irwin, your Crocodile Dundee type nature hunter. He looks a lot like Hulk Hogan, honestly, which I think fits a lot with this kind of character.
He's
I
like
think
he's like a fusion between Hulk Hogan and Saxton Hale from TF2, like the perfect mix.
And then he gets a color palette swap to Adam Lyon.
Yeah,
because he
he's
has hair.
he's got orange hair.
And
So we pan out to see that Adam Lyon, or star of the show, is watching this Amazon Kevin show and just hooting and hollering, and it's like, yeah, you take down those dirty animals. He doesn't say that. But
yeah,
like,
but he's like, you rule so hard.
You're so cool, Amazon
so
Kevin.
hard.
Like, just completely fucking oblivious to any kind of, like, I don't know. Like, Adam just doesn't goddamn get it. Even in the, like, comfort of his home, he doesn't think about, like, his animal friends, his animal school. He doesn't think about any of it.
It's like I think this is set like this is supposed to be set like before he goes to school. It's like it's like the morning, like he's watching Amazon Kevin.
Maybe it's cathartic.
That's really dark to think about.
God, that is really dark. Yeah, maybe it's just cathartic for him because, every day at school he gets mauled and beaten up and, like, fucking, like, probably pissed on, I guess.
Oh my god.
Goes to fucking animal school and then, like, maybe he just wants to see them get the shit beat out of them.
I just know that I was like, of course Adam would like a show like this, a show where a big strong human man beats up poor defenseless animals. It's like a power fantasy for him. And
The longer I look at Adam, the more I see, like, a fucking, like, I don't know, just I shouldn't say it.
Don't.
He probably shouldn't. Anyway, we get a commercial for Meaty Flake, which adds more to the wrongness of seeing a live publicized show of a man just beating up poor defenseless animals, where it's a commercial about this cereal that's just made entirely of meat.
It's so gross.
That sounds so good.
What do you mean?
Oh, I love meat because I want to be a man.
If you want to be a man like Amazon Kevin, you gotta eat these meaty flakes. And then of course, the
Oh,
impetus
love
for-
bacon. Favorite food.
And of course, the impetus for the plot of this show, the kicking off point for for the plot. The commercial starts out is, if you want Amazon Kevin to come over to your school, write to Amazon Kevin is in his PO box. You want a piece of this?
No,
And he can come to your school.
no,
Adam
you
starts
gotta-
crying. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
right, Amazon Kevin. I gave my
The-
2 years to you. Or something.
the best 2 years of my life. Which, how old is he's 12? What were the best 2 years of his life? I kind of want to know. Was it before he went to Charles Darwin Middle School?
I'm
Probably.
guessing.
imagine.
Now he only sees darkness in his future. He can't possibly imagine happiness after the situation he has been
Like,
unwillingly put into.
Fuck, we've never thought about this, but what do you do once you're put into, like, a school system for animals? Like, I feel like you probably don't actually have a future.
Well, because
You probably don't have rights at that point.
Like, Adam probably doesn't like. He probably has no hope of going to college or like anywhere.
They're like, what did you study at animal school? Oh, I mean, we mostly ate books and like made origami.
Yeah. Also, like, I think Adam might be like losing his mind because all that the school fucking gives him to eat is paper. You notice that?
Yes.
All he's eating on like in this school is paper.
God, it's so sad, but he's like, whatever. He goes to school and they have like an assembly. Principal Pixie Frog's like, we have a special guest. I don't own a TV. I don't know who he is.
People. By the way, I love the way Principal Pixie Frog talks to like the student body. I think he's a funny character.
He is a funny character.
Because he's just old, but also he is. He's more old than a frog. He's more old. That's more of his characterization. Less
true.
frog, more old.
Well, because his size never really seems to be a like problem for him. Like he never has like to like he doesn't get undermined because he's a small frog. Like he still has authority.
He's powerful.
I mean, in the first episode, he's kind of like taken for a ride by animalistic Adam Lion. But anyway,
But fair enough. But that's a different story that I've long since pushed away from my mind somewhere deep. I'll never find it again.
Yeah, the first maybe 2 episodes that we saw are very hazy for me. It's kind of like doing this podcast is kind of like studying for a test for a subject that like you have no interest in, where you just like everything about it for the test, and as soon as it's over, it's just like, all right, that's gone.
oh god, oh man.
They call out Amazon Kevin though, and Adam is like, Amazon Kevin, Amazon. he starts like just
he starts slapping his little hands together, just so happy. Fucking tone deaf idiot. Like, does he not get it at this point?
All the other kids are
Dumbass. How does he not understand already? He goes to a fucking animal school. I am so tired of him. I'm sorry.
God.
So Jake, being a good friend that he is, even though I've proven the contrary for him.
Even though they aren't good friends, even though you're just lying to everybody right now.
But Jake at least tries to make a show, for the other people. He's confused at first. He doesn't know who Amazon Kevin is, but he just goes along with Adam. He's like, woo, Amazon Kevin!
Possibly using his like jock influence to like try and like corral the crowd and get them going for his friend.
Yeah, I assume so, but everyone kind of starts to realize who it is as he kind of Amazon Kevin like bursts on the stage. And...
By the way, I gotta mention, there's a disgusting, absolutely horrid display here I have to make known.
Oh,
where,
okay.
where he gets the cab driver, his chauffeur, to dress up as the crocodile to mimic this fight against the crocodile. And I gotta say how appalling this is. As a gator, personally speaking, this is just
unacceptable.
This costume, absolutely unacceptable.
It's a bad costume.
Not convincing at all. I don't know what Amazon Kevin is doing.
He's doing not his best. I think somebody like I don't
He's
remember
a
if it was
Hercule-ass motherfucker.
Oh, hold on now. Excuse you? You're not about to compare Amazon Kevin to the glorious Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball. I will not have it. Get out of here. Podcast over.
Fuck that gator. I'm going to that turret and fight that gator right now.
I'm friends with Jake Spider-Monkey.
Oh god, I bet that. Drunk Jake Spider Monkey is a Saiyan.
No.
That's your
don't.
challenge for today.
No. Don't. No.
Don't.
Don't. No.
Artist
Don't.
listeners.
Don't tell people to try shit. Slips or Jake, somebody says like, "Hey, that's the guy who beats up animals."
Yeah, Jake says
Yeah.
that. But Amazon Kevin can't see the audience because the stage lights are too bright in his eyes. So he, but everyone else realizes, oh my god, that's the guy who beats up animals. And then Slips getting his per episode starring role. Announces
Oh,
that
man.
guy makes boots out of guys like me.
That's fucked up.
That's super messed up. Thanks, Slips, for that.
And
Anyway,
of course, everyone is panicking. Coach Gill flushes herself down the toilet again, and everyone's panicking about this animal abuser being in their school of animals. But Adam's like, huh, this is pretty cool, huh?
he's so
It's
does
like,
not get
this
it.
is killer, huh?
Everyone gasps and like looks at him. Windsor like burns him real bad. Is like, oh,
Did you not understand? Like,
Oh, I guess you just noticed that we all have scales and fur and feathers and such.
yeah. And then Adam starts to kind of like shrink in himself. He's like, oh,
he's like,
Everyone gives him this dirty look.
And on the stage, Amazon Kevin is like wrestling with the chauffeur in the gator costume and like throws him to the side, and the chauffeur is like, man, I'm done with this, and he throws the like costume in like a supply closet in the back and like walks out, and then Amazon...
No, he doesn't walk out. He jumps out of the window.
Oh
for no-
yeah.
Which is really funny.
he jumps out the window of a door.
It's unnecessary.
I guess it was to save trying to make a door opening animation.
So it was better to shove him through a window.
I don't know if that's much better. Maybe it was a joke.
No.
It's a funny joke. I think it's funny.
Oh, what if it was a joke?
The show telling joke. Dream on.
Amazon
Yeah.
Kevin reads the letter. He's like, I want to thank the kid who like wrote to me 2 years ago or whatever. And he reads this like letter that's like, please, please, please come to my school, Amazon Kevin, please.
And the sad music plays. The sad music that I'm sure our listeners are familiar with, because the show has 5 songs that all have a very specific emotion attached to them.
and of course he's like, and the person who wrote this was Adam Lyon, and everyone turns on him except for Jake, who is a surprisingly good friend in this
That gives the
episode.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, he's like, well, what if it's a different Adam Lyon? And then, of course, they, like, Amazon Kevin shows, like, a picture, and he's like, this guy, and it's Adam with a sign that says,
This is what I'm talking about.
I love Amazon Kevin on it. It's...
And he most definitely sent that picture to Amazon Kevin. And it's just so funny.
God.
And Adam is just in a fetal position right now, just so embarrassed, trying to cower before everyone's judgment. Jake gets really offended and is like, "You!" and does his trademark hyperventilating.
Oh, we don't have to do the whole hyperventilation of Jake Spider Monkey, but I got that fucking like face that he's making. That just animation of him hyperventilating has been stuck in my mind like in cryosis for so long. I know there's like
Cryostasis?
always, yeah, like every episode it feels like there's one of those that just kind of like worm their way out of like the subconscious of my mind and into like the light where I could see. And
I have one of those in the next episode. I'll talk about, but I know exactly what you mean.
Henry Armadillo's here. He threatens to beat him.
he looks evil.
He's like,
It's like-
let's give him a taste of no medicine or something like that.
I think we should teach him a lesson.
Yeah, and then Amazon Kevin's still unable to see what's going on in the crowd, and this is the best line. He's like, where is my little fan who like called me? And then Jake goes, he's right here, you freak. And the lights
And we
go.
got the word freak. They always got to use the word freak, and I think that's so like this show is kind of. I told you I'm sick. Sorry. But Amazon Kevin.
Uh-huh.
Fuck, he's in a bad spot, man.
He's just looking over the crowd of just reddened, angry animals.
He's like, I know what I'm gonna get into, and then he runs and hides in like the supply closet that the costume got thrown in earlier.
But what weirds me out is that I guess, you know, he expected to go into an a human school, I mean, of course. But I mean, well, first thing, how did he not meet any of the faculty before entering the I guess his people talked with them and like, you know, all over the phone and such. But
Very irresponsible for Principal Pixie Frog to let a guy like this get into the school.
I mean, yeah.
Principal Pixie Frog is pretty negligent in this episode. But also, I wanted to say that just it seems that Amazon Kevin is just surprised that there's just a school full of animals at all. Like,
yeah,
just,
is this not common knowledge? Is this the only animal school?
Maybe
Well-
he's like Principal Pixie Frog, and like he just doesn't watch the news or like do anything that's unrelated to his job.
I guess it's very off-putting because I definitely know the writers weren't thinking about the world at large here. The lore of My Gym Partner's a Monkey, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
but,
we're doing their job for them.
but I guess it's not a newer thing, I would say, because this school's been here for a while, I think, but it's just an uncommon thing to just have this animal school. I guess it's just cobbled together from human school stuff and just very undermanaged and just, all right, we have these sapient animals. This is a crisis. Let's just throw them into this animal school and forget about them. Just pretend like they don't
Forget
exist.
about them like we forgot about the radiation, about the bombs. We just gotta forget what we did to the world.
Amazon Kevin's hiding in a closet, and there's this really funny joke here where like they're trying to open it but they can't because none of them got any thumbs. So,
Oh, yeah.
so they're just
And then Jake has opposables.
Yeah, they're
but he
like-
also has an axe.
it's like, yeah, I have thumbs, and I also got an axe.
It's so
Like,
funny.
he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you! Open the door, Amazon Kevin! Open the door so I can cut your fucking head off!
No, he's like, hey, he does in Tom Kenny's trademark whispery, unhinged voice. Hey, Amazon Kevin, I got a question to ask ya.
He's like gonna kill this man, and there's a kind of just I guess Adam's like, what can I do to make up this? Don't kill him, please. Like, and he says something bad. He says something stupid. He's like, yeah, sure,
He's
Amazon
like,
Kevin's, you know, beating up your animal kind all
You
these
guys
years.
would be bad as like this is what I was gonna say. I'm just gonna say it now. Like he just feels like, you know, a centrist gamer in the making. That's what Adam. I see that in Adam Live.
A centrist
like-
gamer.
He said he just feels like a centrist gamer, full like just. God,
Listen,
I hate him.
I see it now. Both sides are wrong.
Yeah, both sides. Like, I played Bioshock Infinite.
He convinces them though. He's like, they're like, well, why don't you beat him up then? Because like you're a human on human crime. That's not too bad, right? And he's like, well, I don't know if I could. And they're like, do it. So he's like, all right, already.
No. It's a really funny sequence where Adam's like, he's gonna tear me limb from limb, and Jake's just like, oh, I see. you care more about intact limbs than you do your friends, which this episode I really like because it has a lot of great lines like that are just really funny.
It's
It
really
also
snappy.
shows it also shows a lot of different animals as, like, in that grouping of Adam Lyon's quote unquote friends. And like it's funny seeing like a bunch of like background animals mixed in with Windsor and Lupe and all of them, like it's
Like
like
they're
they're
his
part of the
friends.
team.
I think if there's something I didn't like about this episode, it might have been the like, how to word this, the locations were very odd because like
I was go- I was gonna talk about this too, but you keep going.
well yeah because it's the locations are so weird. Like the majority of this episode, like the first half takes place, I mean the first shot is like in Adam's house, which is like interesting, and then like we get the assembly room, which is like really familiar, but then we're just like hanging out backstage in the assembly like room, like the auditorium or whatever, and it's really weird because it's not an interesting locale, so it's not anything distinguished. They're like standing outside a closet for like a good chunk of this episode. It's really weird. And then Adam goes in the closet and it's really bare, and like I can't get a good sense of the space of the closet. Like I thought it was going to be a lot smaller, but then going in it was just like I don't even know like what shape this room is.
It was like a storeroom for like the drama department, kind of like.
Yeah.
I was gonna talk about, like, I think that's why I didn't like this episode, because it feels so small. Like all the other episodes, like the location usually changes pretty frequently, but this one like takes place in like one room, basically, like the assembly room, like one location. It just feels very like closed off, and like I didn't like it as a kid and I don't like it now because it just feels like so lacking in variety of like sets.
On the upside, though, it lends itself well to having the reason why this episode had a lot of great lines is because we were able to breathe a little bit in the space. We weren't worried about moving on to another location. We were in the place, and it was like almost like a comedy show of just these assholes talking to each other for a little bit.
And that's fair. I just feel like it's the assembly room. Like that just feels weird to me. Like I would understand if it was like the cafeteria, because that's a very, I guess, like
It's a more
Inte-
open environment that lends itself to a lot of situations they get, and I see that. I see that as well. But also, I just felt like a lot of the funny lines really upheld this episode, and just the situation of Adam absolutely getting what he deserves.
Yeah, he goes into the
Oh.
closet to beat up Amazon Kevin, but Amazon Kevin's like crying in the corner, like ah, I don't wanna die.
And like a big banana peel, Adam slips on the thrown away alligator costume, and it looks like he like just fucks it up, like
It's like wrestling it.
And Amazon Kevin's like, "Wow, that was pretty badass, man."
You
But,
saved my life.
You saved my life, and then he like hugs Adam, and makes that boil noise because he touches his like bear skin.
Pectorals.
Yeah, and Adam's like, "Ew."
and Amazon Kevin is just like he starts like crying because he's like, I'm a big fake. I'm like just an actor. None of those animals are real. And as he's crying,
Original theater actor.
Adam's like, God, you're so pathetic.
You're pathetic. And then
He just goes off on him, and in classic Adam Lyon rant, he's just like, I got all this happening to me just because I worship some regional theater actor. You're pathetic. You're disgusting. You're
and
Stop it. You're a grown man. Stop crying.
yeah, Adam Lyon just like, as he's like saying this, Amazon Kevin just has this like shell-shocked look on his face, and his like little hands go up to his mouth, and like he's just wide-eyed, and he just bawls. He just cries his little eyes out, and Adam just keeps on going.
He says,
And it's just
Amazon Kevin's gonna go to Amazon heaven.
Oh, well, that just reminded me of that thing that Lupe said earlier in the episode that we didn't mention, where like when Amazon Kevin was like revealed to be there, she's like, "We're gonna all go to the bad place.
No.
He's
It's
gonna
that.
kill us."
No. It's that. Oh no! We've all died and gone to the bad place. This is our eternal punishment.
I think it would be funnier if she just said hell.
we're all,
What if she
we're
just
going
said
to hell.
No,
We're
no.
going to hell. We're in hell.
Maybe this could have done better as an Adult Swim show.
I just keep saying that Adam dies horrible animal deaths at the end of every episode. That's the Adult Swim version. But he comes up with a little plan. He gets this. He walks out and he's holding like a book, and he's like, "This is all that's left of Amazon Kevin," and he dumps it out. And it's like a torn up hat.
Yeah, and
By the way, it's a droppings bucket.
Yeah,
Where
it's
in the
disgusting.
gag earlier, Adam fell into the droppings bucket. Like, ew.
It's gross. I hate it.
I pummeled him into shit.
And so they're like, he's like, "Do you forgive me?" And then Jake, with his influence, goes, "Forgive you? No, we worship you." And he starts bowing to Adam, and Adam has a shitty smile on his face, and I hate it.
That smirk that they give him, that like, mouth to the side, eyebrow down look that he gives,
I don't
it
like it.
makes me so angry. Like, I don't know why. It just makes me so angry.
As they're bowing down, though, they're like, Adam's like, "Okay, now go," and he's like, "They're blocking the door. You're gonna have to find another way." And Amazon Kevin, wearing the gator costume, like tiptoes out, and this episode ends weird.
It
Oh,
ends
does.
really weirdly, but I feel it's appropriate. A lot of these end episodes just tend to end on the like character just getting comeuppance, getting into a bad situation, and then just leaving it at that without considering that maybe the episode could go on further, as if like they ran out of time. It's like, oh well, we gotta end it with something, so they just ended with the character getting into a bad situation.
Yeah.
Like, so Amazon Kevin meets up with Principal Pixie Frog, and he's like, "Oh well, I don't know who you are, so you must be the substitute gym teacher." Of course, being the responsible principal.
Not even doing a background check on this strange gator man that just showed up. He throws him into the gym, and he's like, "These boys, wrestling season starting. It's a bunch of like hippos in wrestling costumes," and he's like, "They need someone to spar with." And then they all jump on him, and it like, Iris is out, and that's the end. It's like, I was honestly expecting it to go on a little longer, because you just made a funny situation of like Amazon Kevin has to pretend to be an animal. You could have like cut out a lot of the like fluff and had the episode just be Amazon Kevin's in the school trying to be an animal, and maybe he learns that animals are people too, and then he stops being an asshole.
But there's nothing. There isn't anything like that.
They're none of the characters learn anything. Well, Adam says he's learned something. He's a victim of educational television.
Oh, Adam.
He calls it educational, but it doesn't sound like it was any kind of PBS thing that he was watching.
No, definitely not.
So I don't think anyone learned anything.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe
learn anything.
Amazon.
I learned that Amazon Kevin is pathetic.
He is sad. He's a sad shell of a man who beats up little actors in costume. Wait, we disregarded that as well, but he doesn't even beat up animals. He he just beats up people in costumes, like shown before. And so like, I don't know. It's odd. Like, what part do animals play in this society? Because it feels like they're just swept under the rug, and nobody can even like know about them really. It's their school is deemed as a weird animal school. It's not deemed as a normal thing. This like, oh yeah, it's just that animal school. It's a fringe society that's everyone wants to forget about and act like, oh, they're just zoo animals. That's why all the animals work at zoos, I guess. It paints a troubling picture of what these animals go through, what their life is like.
Indeed, it does.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, I can't lie. So, Grub Drive.
Grub Drive.
Grub Drive.
You know, there was a little bit of lag in between discussing the last episode and this one, and I gotta say, I think my opinion of Grub Drive, as I thought about it, has greatly deteriorated.
Did you like it at first?
I thought it was an alright episode. I thought it had some good gags that carried it over, and just like the talk of the school system and all that, and this being underfunded, I thought was interesting done in this episode. But then, you know, you remember the bad parts about it, the really bad parts about it, and you're like, maybe this episode was not so great actually.
Maybe this episode actually sucked a little bit.
Yeah, maybe those jokes towards the end didn't really quite get us.
Well, I mean,
It
there's before we get too into it, I'll just say that nothing really happens or changes at all in this episode.
Which
But
I
that's
think
a
is
theme with, yeah, that's kind of just my gym partner's a monkeys
I mean, but at least
thing,
with
isn't
some
it?
of the episodes, there's like there's an interesting like ending where it's like, oh, Amazon Kevin got wrestled by a bunch of hippos, haha, like funny, or
I
everyone's
think the one that's the most interesting, the episode that felt most like an arc, was the Jungle Guy episode, because at least it set out to accomplish the whole arc. Adam wants to impress Carrie. Adam tries to be Jungle Guy. Adam fails, and then Adam goes too far with trying to be Jungle Guy that he wrecks the school and ends up being a theater, which an usher.
there was
Speaking
some beginnings and some conflict, and then there was a resolution. Let's talk about Grub Drive.
Yeah,
Alright.
let's get right into it.
So we start out, shot out of the school, and we peek through the window into Mr. Hornbill's class, where he's teaching a literature class.
Yeah, screw that guy.
Surprisingly.
He's a terrible teacher, and I hate him. I hate how he talks. I hate how he looks. He looks like he's not all there. Like he looks like he's drowsy and sleepy every time.
class.
He feels
That's me.
obnoxious, and he's just like, like, just the whole pachyderm thing. I don't like him.
Doesn't he?
He's a rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yes.
he.
I feel like there are gonna be a lot of jokes about his dry, like, skin. I don't know.
That seems like a good gross out joke. Just zoom in on
Oh,
his like
yeah.
elbows or something.
Yeah.
His
Because, like-
knobby knees.
Nobby.
But
Nobby.
anyway,
He's,
so it's a literature class, and he's going on about Moby Dick, a great book about an oppressed whale being chased by an evil hunter.
Yeah.
Get
Moby
it?
Dick didn't kill anybody's wife.
he
It's
throws out
not
all these
true,
books.
It's revisionist history.
He's
Wow,
thro-
I really feel like the vibe of the second half of this episode is turned.
Well, Amazon Kevin had funny moments in it. This one, there's a gag they do that really just like I had to like look away. I couldn't. I like threw off my headphones. I was like, this is disgusting. He's
Oh,
passing out
yeah.
these Moby Dick books, but there's not enough for everybody in the classroom because the school is underfunded. I guess that's
Yeah.
really sad.
You know,
and
maybe
also
they have a
it's because they just eat the books.
yeah.
That's why you're running out of books. So you keep eating them.
I was about to say, like, they wouldn't have fucking shortages if anybody in this goddamn school knew how to use books. They
Do you
just
think
eat
they can
them.
read?
No. No, they can't.
I feel like
Maybe-
there's been instances of the animals reading before. Why is this? What possible benefit do you get from eating a book, even as an animal? Like, what's the benefit? What's the point?
It's the joke. It's part of the
I
joke.
don't, I don't
It's
like
an
jokes,
animal
Renee.
school. It's an
I don't like
animal
jokes.
school.
I like lore.
Animals don't read. Even though these animals have been shown to read, it doesn't matter to them. So what do? They just eat because all animals are gluttonous beasts. Books. Jake is getting really into eating his book, but then he has to share with Adam, and he gets upset about that. And Adam, much to his chagrin, has to eat the books as well.
Yeah, Jake's all like, "Oh, I'll never know how the book ended now," because he had to share the, I guess, latter half with Adam.
And the only thing Adam gets to eat this episode again is paper.
I they God, it sucks so bad to be Adam.
Like, maybe me especially, maybe I'm too hard on Adam. Like, it really does suck, his whole entire situation.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
though, because Principal Pixie Frog comes in and he's like,
Mhm.
"Hello, young people."
Hello, young people.
Books cost money.
And so they start doing a fundraiser thing.
Yeah, it's one of those like fundraiser things where the kids sell chocolates to the random strangers and stuff. And Principal Pixie Frog has this little speech that I wrote down the entirety of. Please allow me to.
Well, please
Okay, but-
say it because I remember.
You have to
Okay,
do it in
yeah.
Principal Pixie Frog's voice though, otherwise it
Alright.
doesn't count.
All right, so
Yeah.
everyone's sighing. It's like everyone's sighing. It's like fundraiser, and it's like come on. I know it's not fun going door to door to strange neighborhoods or hitting up distant malodorous relatives or standing in dark, dangerous parking lots late at night to sell boxes of overpriced candy just so you can have the basic tools from which to learn. But it's become an economic necessity in this day of limited funding, increased wages, and drastic decreases in the allowable minimum tax deduction for entertainment expenses.
You see, like, I think the first part of that is, like, kind of, like, real, and then the second part is just nonsense.
No, yeah, the last half is just saying, putting together words to make
'Cause-
it sound overcomplicated.
Because
so
the first
they-
part sounds like, kind of like, yeah, like, this is fucked up. The school system shouldn't be like this, actually. Like, this is, like, going into our world, but the last half was just kind of like, let's put the big words in there. But
yeah,
I think that I
minimum
like that
tax
joke.
deduction for entertainment expense. But
I want to
Hey,
ask a
it's
question.
just so-
Do you think kids
Mhm.
still do these kinds of fundraisers? Because like I did a bunch in school, but
oh, I did a few, and
Oh.
I think I don't know if like most recently, but I know like when my brother and sister were in middle school, they still had to do it, selling those chocolates. But so nobody gets what Principal Pixie Frog is saying. So he's like, "Well, let me lay it out in a
Oh,
language
this-
you'll understand." And then they break out into this hip hop song sequence.
it's so bad. It's so bad. It's not even like ironically catchy. It's a bad song.
It's a very bad song, and I think they try and save themselves in the end because they make a joke about how lame it was.
But you still did it. Principal Pixie
Yeah.
Frog, you still did the rap. And he's like wearing a jacket that says like "Duh Principal" or something.
The pal.
And then he just says respect at one point.
Respect. They're like at the end.
But hey,
It's like an elaborate like music video. Like he's like in a limousine and he's got like girls frogs in there.
Yeah.
And
God,
You
that
see
was
him-
bad.
You see him in just his little frog speedo.
Principal
which is-
Pixie Frog has hair on his chest, doesn't he?
Yeah.
in the music video, yes. And
Ah,
Miss
God.
Warthog is there too, right?
yeah.
Miss Warthog,
And the mandrill.
at Mr. Mandrill, there
Mr.
is backup. Mr. Mandrill's the beatboxer. He's doing the
God, there's
and all that.
That part really stuck out in my mind. Like, something about it, you know.
I just hated it, and it goes on for too long. Like, I think it would have made a funny joke if they like started to do it, and then like a kid interrupted them and was like, "No, no, no, that's so lame! Don't do that."
You know what? I think they ruined the episode just to do this elaborate song sequence. Because the episode doesn't even have a good ending. It just ends.
That's true. That's what I'm saying.
And
It just
they
ends.
could have.
They used all the animation to do that part, and you know, I just realized that that whole little sequence kind of has like our thumbnail, or not thumbnail, but like our podcast art style. Like,
Like the colors.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, don't ever say that.
So after this, everyone's unenthused, of course, and doesn't want to do the Grub Drive. But then Principal Pixie Frog adds, "Oh, you'll get a squeaky toy if you sell enough boxes." And of course, everyone comes rushing back because they're animals, sated only by these material possessions, these squeaky toys, and what have you.
A funny little hot dog.
And even
Funny little hot
Jake is like, "Oh, we gotta do this, Adam. Come on, like let's do this." And Adam is of course just really shitty. He's like, "No, I don't wanna."
Always the contrary, and Adam's like, it's child labor. You can't make me do it."
It's like, okay, I guess not. But then Principal Pixie Frog's like, "Okay, but you have to do this like other thing, like other assignment," and he makes him go work in like the lunchroom.
And of course we get a gross out scene with Miss Tusk. She's like, "You gotta pull out my nose hairs, child," and it shows a gross shot of them. And it's like, oh wow, I hope that doesn't make a comeback in this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like one of those like realistic paintings of her like trunk, and there's like a few nose hairs sticking. It's so gross. I hate it.
That's a lot of this episode. By the way, they're selling chocolate-covered grubs.
Yeah, hence the name Grub Drive.
Yeah.
You get it?
So, and then there's this actually funny. I think it's funny. I don't. Y'all might
It's
have thought it
pretty
was
funny.
annoying, but like, Jake's like, "Oh, I love those things. Let me buy one from you, Adam, and then you can buy one from me. We'll just buy each other's like supply." And so Jake gives
keep-
Adams $1, and then like they just keep like exchanging the dollar back and forth. And it's really dumb, but
Is
it's
this a
And then-
commentary on how exploitable capitalism is and how it's like unviable as an economic like system?
Possibly.
I'd say it might be.
But then there's a time card that's like 45 minutes later, and they've given like each other all their own chocolate bars, but they still have the $1. And I love the end bit of this joke, especially because then they just hold the dollar, and then they realize, and they're like, "Want to go to the grocery store, sell these stuff?" And Jake's just like, "Yeah."
I just like 'cause
like-
they realized it was dumb and it didn't work, so that's why it's like a joke.
The joke at the end was just that they wasted time. They wasted so
A
much
theme of
time
this
getting.
episode.
Oh,
You know,
Oh.
that is a theme of this episode. It's just a waste of time. And you'll see how much it wastes your time.
Well,
soon
they
enough.
linger on things too much because they're selling like so they're like outside the grocery store, and they're like trying to talk to people, and it's just like the joke is people are ignoring them and not wanting to buy their candy from, and I don't blame them. I mean, Jake's there. A lady like screams and runs away.
Like she's like, "Oh, I'll get you on the way out," and then she comes back out, and Jake calls her out. It's like, "Hey, you said you'd buy one once you got out," and she just runs away screaming, and he's like, "Yeah, you better run."
It's the appropriate reaction to seeing Jake Spider Monkey in the real world. I want to talk about the Girl Scout Mafia.
Oh yeah, the Girl Scout
One
Mafia
of
is, I
them-
think, the best part of this episode. One of the best parts.
Do they come back in other episodes? Because I don't I have a vague sense of familiarity with them, but I don't know if that's just because I remember this episode in particular.
I feel like they do.
They're
Like
good
at least once, because
characters.
I've seen them at least once before. I know.
Yeah.
So I think they do appear in other episodes, but like it's hard to tell which one. But so this Girl Scout Mafia, the lead Girl Scout's wearing like an eye patch, They're
Yeah.
coming in like they're part of the Yakuza or something.
It's really good. They're like, "What are you doing like on our territory?" And Jake's just like, "Oh, we're just selling bugs." And the girl just like decks him, and then they like just throw Adam to the sidewalk, and Jake is like, "Oh, well, they were nice."
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a shot of them just hassling this one poor lady, and I really like this
Oh yeah, they're like
because
bugging
it's
her essentially.
like, yeah, hey, lady, aren't you gonna buy a box? And she's like, yeah, yes, of course. And she looks so sad, and I feel so sorry for her. I love this lady's look. She looks so darling. But then, like, you see it pans over to the other Girl Scouts, like slashing her tires and graffitiing, buy our cookies.
It's good. I like these Girl Scout characters. It gives Adam an idea though. He's like, we need to be more like them. We need to be more aggressive in our tactics here to sell candy. And Jake, this is where it begins. Jake steps on a piece of gum in the street, and he, oh,
And then he just puts that little sucker right in his mouth.
It's a really hairy piece of gum, by
it's
the
so
way.
bad. He pulls a big hairy bubble. It's gross. I hate it.
Oh, but that's
It
only
gets
the beginning.
worse.
That's only-
The next
I remember when we rewatched the episode before this. Uh, uh, we get to the first part of it, and Lucy just pauses and is so disgusted from it. And I'm like, no, don't worry. It gets less. It gets better, but
gets worse.
Yeah,
It's
I
worse.
I didn't lie. I told the truth. It gets worse.
I forgot that it got worse. I
That-
pushed it out of my mind.
Their tactic is now that they're gonna gross people out so bad that they'll pay them, like they'll buy their chocolates to go away. In the very first shot, it's so bad. It's Adam and he's blowing snot bubbles out his
He's
nose.
blowing snot bubbles one through the other, and then he gulps it.
He's
like
it's
big-
so bad.
And then he's just like, "I'll leave if you give me money." And then like they do, because I would want that. I would want him to leave.
I would definitely want him to leave. And so then it's just
I just shut my. I just tell him, "Hey, kid, get out of here before I call the cops."
there's just a sequence of, you know, Jake inflates his ass with
Oh God, he sure fucking did.
it's
Lending credence to the fake ass theory that we developed a few episodes ago.
It must be.
it's gotta
must-
be. Jake
but
brushes his teeth with a toilet cleaner.
Toilet brush.
Yeah.
Adam like puts tape on his eyes and makes them really small, and this part, like, literally when I saw it made me openly go ah, because it's so like terrifying and close to the screen.
It's gross.
It's too much.
He looks like his eyes look like the hands of the pale man from Pan's Labyrinth.
It does. Or warning. But also, I mean, there's a sequence where Jake just drinks a soda and then he burps, and it doesn't seem that bad compared to the other things. But for some reason, I was talking about this about the last episode when you were saying this one Jake thing stuck out in your mind, Gert. But this one Jake thing, this one Jake face, as I was watching the episode the first time again, it struck out to me. It's like, oh god, it's that face, and I don't know why, but I really hate that face. It's a demon. It's a demonic force.
He looks like a demon. He looks like Beelzebub himself.
Beelzebub belching out of the fucking infernal
Miasma.
fires of hell.
Miasma of death coming directly from Jake's ass in the next scene, where he just blows a fan on his butt.
Like it's an elaborate scene where at first it's just Adam is in a gas mask and it's like, oh, okay, that's a little. I mean, I don't get it. What's so gross about this? But okay. And then it cuts to Jake with his ass presenting fanning the fart fumes.
You
And
know
it's
what?
like, oh, okay,
You know,
thanks.
you know what really disturbs me about this scene in particular?
What?
The fact
What?
that there's no fart noise, it's just silent. So, does this imply that his ass is constantly like shitty and like disgusting smelling, like he doesn't clean it?
I
Because it might. Oh, God, it's so.
I'm done
I
with
don't want to get into that graphic detail.
I'm done with this montage. They have a big jar of cash now, and that's the only thing nowadays.
Yeah,
They've
we
manipulated
did it.
people long enough, and they're like, oh, let's go get like a little snack, a roo. Let's treat ourselves because we did such a good job, and look at all our money. Let's go. Oh no, the
We're in
grocery store.
Oh, how do we end up back
Ba-bum.
here?
Boing. And the Girl Scouts are there, and they're like, well, you know, really.
What do we got here?
Yeah, the main one with her eye patch is just so intimidating, and
She
it's
like takes their money from them. 'Cause he's
yeah,
like,
she just like robs them and gives them like a bunch of chocolate.
Just stuffs a bunch of chocolate cookies in their mouth in another disgusting display,
so,
and then it cuts to the Charles Darwin Middle School yet again, and you think like, oh, how are they gonna get out of this situation?
Well,
They everyone's giving back their empty boxes for the squeaky toy. Everyone's enjoying the enrichment, the animal enrichment of a squeaky toy, and except for Adam and Jake, Pixie Frog is like, well, we're glad everyone did their part. Well, almost everyone.
up, 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 up.
And it cuts back to Adam and Jake in the lunchroom. Well, in the back part where Miss Tusk is, wearing their hairnets and stuff, and they have to pull out her nose hairs.
And they have to use their combined strength just to pull out one because they're just so in there.
it's
I guess.
it's so gross. This episode was
Be
gross. Like
careful.
probably the grossest episode we've had to deal with yet.
Yeah, we're done with the episode, by the way. It
Yeah,
ends
that's how it ends. That's what I say. Like
That's
that's it.
that's what I was saying earlier. Just they they used a lot of scenes for the rap, and then the gross out montage. Again, it didn't need to be that long. They used it for the, I mean, the dollar gag was really funny.
Yeah, that was a good bit. I liked that one.
But there's a lot here that just culminated into nothing. That's the theme of this episode. You wasted your time. Here we are, yet again.
It feels like watching that episode is like watching a rerun of like just any show.
Yeah,
But like even if you watch it for the first time, it'll feel like a rerun because it's just so like uh just so
nothing.
nothing, just so weirdly paced, so devoid of anything.
That's
I
that's what
digress.
and that's what's so memorable about this show, or unmemorable, I guess. That the it's such a hidden gem because there's so many of these episodes that are just nothing that you don't even give a second thought about. But then you forget about those episodes that are just really weird and off the wall. And I can't wait to get to the next episode. Well, really, we're gonna be doing the Christmas episode next, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be jumping ahead and doing the Christmas episode for next week.
Which is quite a bit ahead in the actual series structure. But we just wanted to give give a gift to you this Christmas
we give a
for
little
all our
holiday
gym
cheer.
partners out there.
Yeah.
Give some holiday cheer and suffer through this Christmas special, which I remember being. Uh, it was infuriating.
That doesn't not a
Hopefully-
good sign.
Hopefully we won't miss out on any lore or anything like, really important to the plot.
I hope they didn't add like
Well-
a secret character halfway
By
through.
skipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be like a new snake.
No, no one could
Slips
ever
too.
could ever replace Slips.
No.
These episodes were interesting. I had a fun time.
What do we rate them? Maybe
I-
we should start rating the episodes at the end. I've been thinking that.
What's the scale?
Um, so I guess
Monkey butts. Let's just.
monkey. I did monkey butts maybe.
Was that good or bad in the context of this show?
No, it's good.
Well,
It's good, of course. Everyone loves monkey butts.
Okay. I'm just gonna
I
give.
guess-
I'm gonna give Amazon Kevin a 3 out of 5. I'm gonna give Grub Drive a 1 out of 5.
I'd go as far as to give Amazon Kevin a 4, maybe 3.5 out of 5, and Grub Drive. That's a solid 1.5
I'll give
butt scale.
I'll give Grub Drive a whopping 2.5 butts.
That's pretty generous.
That is generous.
One whole ass and a cheek. Just because I guess like it. The half is more so like they tried to do a funny music bit, but they don't get a whole one because it wasn't successful. And
That's true.
for Amazon Kevin, I give it like a 3.5. I'm just like following my heart here. Amazon Kevin just felt very it felt very devoid of life.
3.5 is a pretty good score. I gave it a 3.
I guess so. This is out of 5, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was okay then.
Yeah.
That
well, thank
it wasn't like awful. It was all right.
I'd go as far as to say it was good, but in my own opinion, and with taking into consideration all the other episodes.
Well,
uh,
I would like to read some comments now that we've gotten.
Oh boy.
So,
yeah, let's do that.
do y'all want to read any, or do you want me to just read them?
Go ahead
I
and
wouldn't
read
mind.
them
I wouldn't mind reading some.
Okay, I'll read the first one then. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your username wrong. Cyclomatus, I think. It says, out of all the episodes you guys have covered so far, these are the only 2 I vividly remember. Ha ha. Another comment mentioned it, but yeah, the doorknobs were a collectible thing in the Flash game, which I used to play all the time. All the time, for some reason. Also, I look forward to this podcast every week. Thank y'all for reliving this show so I don't have to.
Oh, thank you, Cyclomatus.
Thank you, Cyclomatus. Also,
Yeah, I just remembered that. Oh
Yeah.
man, I did play that Flash game, and they did have the shiny doorknobs as a collectible.
I don't think that Flash game ended because it felt like really like that Flash game felt weirdly like big. I don't
Yeah.
know if it actually was or if it was just because like I was a kid and it was a bad game. Like those two things combined just kind of led to it not like, ever having a conclusion. But yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Alright, so Plushy Beaks said, I'm actually surprised that the show mentioned truffles again. I was so sure that the writers of the show were way too lazy to be referencing something mentioned in the past episodes. I really hope Captain Clowney comes back.
Me too.
Well,
Yeah, me too.
well, to pull back the veil, I do think he does make a few reoccurring appearances. Our sponsor, Captain Clowney, because we gotta keep this show going. But I mean, like, also in the show proper, I'm pretty sure there has to be at least one Captain Clowney centric episode.
I'm sure there's going to be a scene or something that takes place in Adam's room or something, and there'll be like
Oh.
a Captain Clowney memorabilia of some kind.
Let me read this one from Sleepy Nook that says, "I have no doubts that Windsor Overwatch a men's right activist, because just the other day my friend said he looks like he's about to make a YouTube channel about hating women."
You were so right, Sleeping.
Yeah, see,
Look,
this is what I mean. He does look like. I'm really glad that Renee got this one.
Because Renee's the Windsor defender.
Yeah.
look, okay. He's very deadpan and seems very unemotive, but I think that that adds to the charm of his character because he is the voice of reason. He was telling Adam just earlier in Amazon Kevin how he's a piece of shit for not recognizing the correlation between him liking Amazon Kevin and his animal friends.
You know, I did like
think
Windsor more in the Amazon Kevin episode than I've ever liked him before.
Yeah.
I think just watch here. Windsor will develop his character, I think, over the coming episodes, and you will regret your words and deeds, all of you. Also Henry Armadillo. Actually, no.
I don't
I will
take that
never-
back.
You know, like, I'm willing to accept my opinion of Windsor will change, but I will never accept Henry Armadillo.
No, you're right.
I'll
Yeah.
never look at him and see like anything that isn't like below, you know? Like
I think from what I remember, further episodes will only drive your point home.
yeah.
Anyway.
And like it didn't help seeing him up close in Amazon Kevin.
Anyway, thank you so much for your comments. If we didn't read your comment, don't feel too bad. I'm trying to limit them to 3 per episode, so just keep commenting and you'll get on here. I promise. So yeah, make sure you leave comments. You can also reply to our Twitter posts. We'll read those too. If you want to add us in anything, if you want to show us anything, you know our Twitter. And
Also, we're sorry for all the My Gym Partner's a Monkey recommendations that you're probably getting for YouTube. I'm getting those. I'm getting episodes recommended from like Cartoon Network Australia, clips. I'm getting clips recommended to me. So if that's happening to anybody here, welcome to the madness.
You're not alone. We're here
Yeah.
for you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Make sure to like, comments.
Well, make sure to share all of our videos. Like and comment and share them on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr.
I guess.
I guess.
I guess. Yeah. Is
Alright.
there My Gym Partners a Monkey Reddit?
Oh my god, we gotta share this on that.
Well, if there isn't,
We're gonna
there
make
might
one.
be one soon.
We're gonna make one. Okay.
Don't. Okay.
Don't what? We have the power. See ya, everybody. I'm Lucy.
I'm Gert,
And I'm Renee.
and just
Why do we
Don't
never have
stop.
an ending for these?
don't stop monkeying around.
Stay fresh, y'all. See ya.
Bye.